Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the EDI Jester. How are you? I am back. I have returned from Buxton and the Battle of Ideas. It's brilliant. Great. Got to see some peeps. There were some warrior teachers there. Claire Fox was there. Ella Whedon was there. It was really interesting. And great conversational topics that I was able to have with the Manchester politics in pubs people. And the cancel culture group and all that sort of stuff. So I'll put all the links in the doobries so that you can have a look and see who it was that I was chinwagging with. And then I had to do a session on ERG, you know, the sustainability covers and all the stuff that comes with it. My goodness me, what was most tremendous about that was how informed the audience were. It was, here, look at my hair. How informed the audience were. Just amazing. Just amazing to see. Oh, the common folk have woken up. Common folk, that's a terrible thing to say. So they were really good, and that was heartening. In fact, to have that. So I took some friends came along, which was great. So they got to see some of the speeches and talks that were happening, and some of the important subjects that were being covered on the day. So yes, back to Buxton Battle of Ideas. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic, in the most extraordinary building called the Dome, and they've got a star on the floor in the middle. And if you stand in the star, you can hear everything like. Oh, like an echo. It's just wonderful. It's huge, acoustically fantastic room, which is, I think, part of Derby University of Derby. So tremendous. I was really, really, really happy to go, and it was most enjoyable. And thank you all so much for asking if I had a good time. I did have a good time. So what have we got today that I think needs a look at? Well, there's a couple of things. So we're going to start today with something from Steve Edgerton over at the Telegraph. And then I've got a couple of videos going on that I want you to have a look at, which I'm going to talk about tonight. So this is Sunday. I'm going to put this straight out to everyone. All right. Steve Edgerton. Now, for those of you that don't know, Steve Edgerton is he's one of the media bright young things. Okay, and he works for the old Telegraphics, the Telegraph, as they say, or the Torygraph, I think they have to call it, don't they? And he's put out a tweet, which I can't find the article to, but I'll put the links for the tweet in the doobries, right? This is gobsmacking, right? But it's also rather frightening, and it's also rather worrying. But you can tell me about that in the comments when you've watched my musings, right? Okay, so it's on Twitter. So Steve's got this on Twitter, so you can see it if you've got a Twitter account. Exclusive. From Steve Edgerton, wokeness at the heart of anti-woke Kemi Badenoch's department. Now, Kemi Badenoch's department is the Department of Business and Trades, Race, Ethnicity and Cultural Heritage, or REACH as it's called. Civil servants held a diversity meeting discussing the book Why I Don't Talk to White People About Race, and were encouraged to keep the discussions private. Now, I've said before that the civil service is a state within a state. You tell me if I'm right after hearing this. A group representing minority staff held the discussion on the 16th of November, which was advertised as revolving around topics relating to race, what it means to be an anti-racist, and how to be an impactful ally. But remember, anti-racism is racism, right? It's not anti-racist or, yeah, you get it? It's a totalitarian philosophy. Anti-racist is racist. People have to get their head around this. Black is white, folks, yeah? It's a bit Alice in Wonderland, isn't it? But anti-racist is racist, okay? An email from REACH to DBT, right, to the Department of Business and Trade, where this REACH group meets. Staff said the discussion groups are a safe space. There you go, that's a warning, something's wrong. Safe space to discuss what allyship of ethnic minorities really means, and will be based around Rennie Edo Lodge's book, Why I No Longer Talk to White People About Race. Right. So, for all of Kemi Badenoch's rhetoric attacking critical race theory, it is now clear that this divisive ideology has captured her own department. Come on, Kemi. While I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, right? While civil servants should not waste their work time discussing these radical narratives around race, it is up to ministers to put an end to this. So the public is paying for them to sit in a room and talk about this shit. Millions of pounds, that's what, millions of pounds. Our productivity is being affected by this nonsense. The Conservative Party has had 13 years to clamp down on officials who promote concepts like critical race theory, yet nothing ever seems to change. Instead of talking the talk, as Kemi and other Conservative MPs sometimes like to do on these issues, it's time for ministers to walk the walk. In October 2020, Miss Badenoch gave a speech in the House of Commons in which she described critical race theory as a dangerous trend in race relations, an ideology that sees my blackness as victimhood and their whiteness as oppression. The Reach meeting on the 16th of November this year took place between noon and 1 p.m. and was the first of 6 sessions set to be held by the group over the next 6 weeks. So that's 6 hours. They're doing it in the lunch hours, aren't they? Right? What the hell are they doing it in the workplace for? Are they using workplace equipment? Are they? Are they using equipment bought for them by the public? During the online meeting, one official claimed that 4 or 5 people in the last year have left the Department of Business and Trade out of pure frustration with the fact that they weren't advancing and they weren't growing to the same extent as their white counterparts. Well, that's what? Are you saying that they're being deliberately discriminated against because of their race? In which case, they should be talking to a lawyer. Another civil servant responded to the comment saying, I think it's met with that defensiveness as well. It's like the first reaction is to defend the position and state why, but there isn't a defence. So there is no defence, right? During the discussion, which focused on racism and diversity, one official said, I'm a trade advisor, and so often what I've done is connect what I believe in terms of the network with what my day job is. I work a lot to support ethnic minority businesses because I'm a trade advisor, and so indirectly. So what I'm urging people to think about is how can you connect your day job to being an ally, and what does that look like? That looks like politicisation of your job in a public role, matey boy, whoever you are. Could be her. In fact, civil service probably is. At the end of the discussion, several civil servants made comments about preventing leaks from the meeting. It's a cult. It's a cult. We've got a cult in the middle of the civil service. One Mandarin said, can I also just stress the importance of keeping the conversations that we've had here today to respect the anonymity, because the only way that we can foster these conversations in a space is if we protect that. Public meetings that aren't public. Ooh, in public organisations with public equipment. Who are these people? Get them out. They continued, and the reason why that I'm saying this is, to be honest, that there has been articles that posted online in the UK newspapers about what we do in a network, not join our network, but also other networks have been targeted. You're targeted? 8 years from now, 4 years from now, right, when Labour have brought the country to its knees, we're coming for you. All right? Because we're going to get you out of the job. You shouldn't be there. Impartial. All the best public sector workers I've ever met have known what that meant. So it's really important to think about that. I'm not saying you cannot share what we discussed in theory, but just don't attribute it to a particular person so that we can continue to have these conversations, right? That's Chatham House rules. That's standard stuff. I use that. Talk about what happened, but don't talk about individuals, right? Bit difficult when what's happening is supposed to be happening in private and is about a totalitarian belief system like critical race theory. Then we need to know who it is so we can get you out. Sorry. Right? The comment was followed up by another official who said, just to add, whoever the civil servant was said, it's the reason why we don't record calls. Also, civil servants were told to check their colleagues' email signatures for their pronouns and not assume each other's gender in an internal memo discussing victims of anti-transgender violence. On the 20th of November, an official department blog was published on the Department of Business and Trade intranet to mark Transgender Day of Remembrance, an event commemorating people killed due to being transgender. The blog was introduced by Amanda Brooks, the Director General of Trade Negotiations in DBT, who wrote that the day encourages us to pause to commemorate those whose lives have been lost due to intolerance. The blog continued with a passage from another civil servant. It's a blog from the blob. From another civil servant who identifies as non-binary. Oh, right. Why have you got people that identify as non-binary in your business? They're nuts. Because they think they're non-binary. I'm a non-binary person. No, you're not. What? Although we cannot change the past, we do have the power to take control of the future, and specifically the future for trans and non-binary community. And there's such thing. At work, there are many small actions that I'd like to see colleagues take to work towards removing stigma and build a culture where we are open and inclusive of our trans colleagues. Checking people's email signatures for their pronouns and not assuming colleagues' pronouns are both simple things that I know can make knowledge make acknowledging gender diversity part of our daily disclosure. Joining the Department of Business and Trade's LGBTQ plus network is also a way to support your LGBTQ plus colleagues and keep up to date with the current issues the community is facing. The LGBTQ, hands, knees and bumps a daisy people seem to be having a field day in this particular instance. Checking people's email signatures for their pronouns. Nothing totalitarian about that at all. Creepity creep, here it comes. Yeah, one step at a time, folks. That's how we'll get you. Then there's a quote from Helen Joyce. Steve took time to type this out. You're going to take the time to go and have a look at it. I'm going to stop there, all right? So, later on, a translated video of the guy in Argentina, Milei, and what he's up to, a few other bits and bobs, and some other news. All right, okay? So that's... All right, get on with it. I'm back from Buxton. Come on, work to do. I'll see you good folks later. All right, ta-da.